victim had been attacked in a number of ways.
Yeah, somebody really had a field day with him.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Hey, he was no hero, but he dedicated his life to law enforcement. What right do you have to spit on his grave?
Officer! Your Honor, stop it. We need to backtrack. What do we know for sure?
November of 1888, they found the remains.
So then he started sending letters. Sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Prostitutes really.
Shame? No, it's no shame. I mean, sure we lost the state's witness, but it's gonna kill her off the streets. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, though, Ted, I needed this. What with the the election tomorrow, my campaign manager and Miss See you next Tuesday at home. I just haven't gotten the chance to relax. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, though, hey, Peter. That guy is a hopeless case.
Paper?
Yeah, the guy could have been anything. He could have been, the mayor, the sheriff, governor, but, he fell in line with the hooker. The hooker, and, that is a slippery slope, Ted. You take one sip of that drink.
I'm calling a case meeting. You, me, Captain Chapman, and Dr. Nichols. If anyone knows anything, we're the ones running the case, we're the ones to report to. If we pool our information, we might at least walk away with some clear answers.
No usable evidence. As if this case wasn't unsolvable enough.
One victim, 5 murders. How are we gonna pull this off?
I examined the body. Hell of a way to die.
Matches how he lived.
Where to begin?
I suggest we start with the victim.
I agree.
Okay, Dr. Nichols, you have the floor.
The victim had been attacked in a number of ways.
Yeah, somebody really had a field day with him.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Hey, he was no hero, but he dedicated his life to law enforcement. What right do you have to spit on his grave?
Really? That's what we're starting with? Law enforcement? Yeah, Judge, he dedicated his life all right, but it wasn't to protect and serve.
Officer, I realize you're not used to the intellectual side of police work, but...
Officer! Your Honor, stop it. We need to backtrack. What do we know for sure?
We know that Jack Iscariot went to dinner 3 nights ago at the Pottersfield restaurant on Whitechapel Court. He was found dead later that night in the road out front.
The forensics report showed that he had been poisoned, beaten, shot, stabbed, and run over. But you were unable to establish a definitive cause of death, Dr. Nichols?
That's correct, Mr. Stride. The coroner determined that he died of blood loss, both internal and external, though any of the methods used would have caused that effect.
Could he determine which happened first?
He was only able to examine the body for a brief period. There was only time for an abbreviated autopsy.
How come?
Jack Iscariot was a very public individual, Mr. Stride. He was running for re-election and would have won. The press is hounding my office for answers about his death. That is why there was only time for a brief autopsy, and that is why we are meeting here today. What else do you have, Dr. Nichols?
The coroner was able to determine that all of the events happened in a 5-minute time frame, but there is no immediate way to tell which happened in what order.
Fine. Do we have any leads on the suspects?
Suspects? What makes you say it was more than one?
I wouldn't expect you to realize this, Officer Eddowes, but 5 causes of death suggests 5 killers.
Mr. Kelly, your judge's bench has isolated you from the rest of us. You have no idea how people will behave.
You're telling me, officer, that a murderer would poison a man only then to stab him, shoot him, beat him over the head, and then get into his car and run him over?
No, this murder had many perpetrators.
No disrespect, Your Honor, but at this stage I would like to focus on the facts of the case rather than speculation. Dr. Nichols, the poison was administered orally?
Yes, Captain Chapman. 20 milliliters of an anticoagulant rodenticide was found in the chest cavity. The bullet punctured the stomach and the poison leaked out into the surrounding area.
Hang on a second, that tells us something. We know that he was poisoned before he was shot.
And we also know that the hit and run happened last.
How do we know the hit and run was intentional?
The catalytic converter didn't burn the body.
Which tells us...
The car hadn't been driven recently. It was lying in wait.
But that doesn't prove that the
boss?
Yes, Aberline.
I thought you'd want to know there's no security footage of the murder, boss. Inside or out.
Really? A restaurant with no surveillance?
No, boss. They say the tapes from that night were wiped. All the data's lost. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Aberline.
Yes, boss.
So, no way to see what happened.
Apparently not.
And no other evidence?
No. The poison was a store-bought rat poison. The tire tracks could be linked to any one of 1,000 cars. The gun was unregistered. There's nothing unique about the knife wound, and we still don't know what hit him over the head. There's nothing outstanding about the DNA, and any trace evidence left on the body was contaminated by the next killer.
Ironic, isn't it? One killer helps clean up after another.
Gentlemen, I'll ask for a little decorum here. A man died, a colleague. I would ask you to control...
Drop the charade, Judge. Can we all please stop pretending to care about this guy? Jack Iscariot was no hero cop. He didn't pull kittens out of trees. Jack Iscariot was a prick. He was a prick when he was a cop, he was a prick when he was a detective, and he was a prick up until 3 days ago when he was the sheriff. None of us liked this guy. Why do we pretend to care? All he ever did was rip things from underneath us. No one sitting at this table can say they weren't ripped off by him. We all were. Judge, that Anderson case. Viscariat changed the date on the search warrant, stormed into your courtroom, caused half the evidence to be inadmissible, embarrassed you in front of the press, and got Nick Anderson out of jail for the murder of his boss. Captain, the Swanson child murder. Back when you two were detectives, you found the baseball bat that was used to kill Kevin Swanson, but Viscariat put his name on the evidence bag and got a promotion for it. Doctor, the Godley homicide. Viscariat took you off the case and transferred it to a forensic team that was so backlogged they rushed through things and contaminated evidence. Probably because Derek Godley was killed in order to cover up Viscariat's campaign bribes. Mr. Stride, the Warren hanging. You know as well as I that Thomas Warren did not just stand there and watch his wife commit suicide. But that's what Viscariat said when he took you off the prosecution and handled it himself. Viscariat ripped every single one of us off, and he put murderers back on the streets in order to further his own career. Why should we feel sympathy?
How we feel regarding the victim has no bearing on the case.
Sure it does. We're looking for motive, aren't we? Everyone in this room had more than enough reason to want Jack Viscariat dead. You want suspects? Start with me. Start with you. Hell, start with anyone on the force. But stop acting like Jack Viscariat was some fallen angel.
Officer, despite your own personal biases, Dr. Nichols is right. A man was killed and it is our duty to investigate.
No, Judge! I hate to break it to you, but the real world is greater than your ivory and ebony tower. Our duty is to make this city a safer and better place. As of 3 nights ago, a criminal is off the streets. Why do you want to punish someone for that?
Because the press would eat you alive if you didn't. Sorry, sir, but I agree with Eddowes. Viscariat is dead. The city will elect a new sheriff and we won't have them storming into courtrooms causing mistrials anymore. I'm sorry, but I think we should walk away.
And tell me, Jeffrey, what happens if we walk away?
The case is never solved. Maybe years from now there'll be a break, but for now...
Unless any new evidence comes in, I can't do anything.
There were no stellar witnesses. People saw him staggering from the restaurant, but that's it.
So we know he was poisoned inside the restaurant. We have something. Who was he eating with?
We don't have the tapes. There's no way to tell.
Anyone could have guessed that he was poisoned first. It doesn't help us. Face it, Judge. Today, this is the right thing to do.
No! We are all in law enforcement because we believe in the ideals of crime and punishment. We cannot in good conscience allow a crime to go unpunished. Not when there is something we can do about it.
What? What can we do?
I don't know.
I've been over the evidence 20 times. I don't think we have any other choice.
Never stepped away from a case before. Figured it would haunt me. I don't think I'll have that problem here.
My conscience is clear. The criminal is dead. Case closed.
Agreed. Our killer did the world a favor. No point in going on.
Right. Innocence is relative. Evil's been punished. Case closed.
Grab a line.
Yeah, Fred, what's up?
The video footage you wanted? Restaurant just sent it over.
Really? I thought the manager said the tapes were wiped.
Nah, that's what he thought. The owner changed the system to digital last year. Manager didn't know. System automatically backed up the files. Here.
Thanks, Fred.